Just the facts here. President Joe Biden has carried out an agenda with broad and deep public support at a policy level. The Biden economy is in a much stronger position than a lot of economists expected it to be. President Joe Biden's support for our democracy and our democratic institutions is never, ever, ever questioned, even by members of the Republican Party. And yet, the age thing hangs over him like a looming political storm cloud. From SNL to Maureen Dowd to the latest New York Times public opinion polls, it's everywhere. Fair? Absolutely not. Ageism is real. As a woman on TV, I can attest to that. But there is no time for Joe Biden between now and November to do that much about it. But you know what he can do? He can get on the offense. He can control the conversation. He can control how he deals with this issue, this question. He can wake up tomorrow and say, okay, voters, I hear you and I see you. And I love you. Give me a chance to prove you right. President Joe Biden should run on a constitutional amendment capping the maximum age that a man or woman could be inaugurated at 75. If it passed, future voters wouldn't have to contemplate President Joe Biden or his opponent. The Constitution isn't mum on age. It has a minimum age. And if President Biden is successful in a second term, it would also have a maximum age. And just in case anyone over at the White House or the campaign is worried that it would somehow make Biden look defensive or self-conscious about his own age, Biden's response to that writes itself day after day after day. Have you seen the other guy? This was from this weekend alone.
Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear. Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable. Oil exploration and production in the United States. The Biden border will, well, you know this, right? Even Argentina, they went MAGA. You know Argentina, great guy. We will expel the warmongers. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
We didn't touch it, didn't doctor it. That really happened. Joining our conversation, MSNBC contributor and columnist Charlie Sykes, plus U.S. special correspondent for BBC Studios, MSNBC contributor Katie Case here. And lucky for us, Molly Jong-Fast, special correspondent for Vanity Fair and MSNBC contributors back at the table. Molly, you have thoughts?
Look, there's been so much talk about the age, and some of the age writing is a Mobius strip. Like we saw the Times, there was one Sunday where almost all the opinion columnists wrote about Biden's age. And, it became this issue that was sort of propped up to make a kind of false equivalency. Like one guy has 91 criminal counts and the other guy's old. But the truth is Trump is 2.5 years younger than Biden. These are not a lot of years.
And sounds like that.
And I think the best thing Biden can do is get out there. I mean, when he gets out there, he's really good. I mean, I was at a party and everyone was like, well, we're going to vote for him, but we're not sure. And I played some stuff from C-SPAN of him talking, and they were like, he sounds really good. And I was like, yeah, that's from yesterday.
The thing about running on a constitutional amendment, one, Charlie Sykes, it's been done before. It can read as cynical, but I think the other thing that it does is it says, let me prove you right, voters. You feel strongly about this. I hear you. I see you. And I think there is nothing to be gained by having nothing to bring to the conversation. It at least gets Biden in the room and lets him sit on the side of the table of people who think that our Constitution and our elections should speak to age.
But he has a lot to bring to the table. He has a lot to talk about, and you've put your finger on it. He has the other guy to talk about. Look, I don't think he can run away from this issue. It is a legitimate issue. It's a real issue in the minds of voters. So he needs to lean into it and say, look, I am old. I am so old that, make a routine out of it. But then he needs to say, but the other guy is also old, and he's crazy, and he's dangerous, and he poses these threats. This is the moment that I think that people need to come to grips with. If Donald Trump does pose an existential threat, then we ought to act like it. Maybe a year ago, we could have had a serious conversation about replacing Joe Biden, but Joe Biden is not going anywhere. He is going to be the candidate. So at some point, the bedwetting has to morph into focusing on the task ahead. And every one of your programs, Nicole, underlines what a Trump presidency would be. And I do think that it's incumbent on everybody to say, okay, what is this election about? What is important? Yes, we can be concerned about Joe Biden's age, but how does Joe Biden's age stack up with everything we know about Donald Trump? His dishonesty, his authoritarianism, his intention to have a presidency of revenge and retribution. Every single day, Donald Trump gives Joe Biden something more to talk about. And that's what 2024 has to be. Does America want an old guy as president, or do they want an old, crazy, dangerous, deranged authoritarian as president?
Yeah, I mean, and Katie, that's where Sue Gordon, I think, oriented the conversation. If she could be here every day, I would have her. But this is an election, and we say this all the time, it isn't always true, believe me, about big things, and not big policy things, not big foreign policy decisions, about whether we whether we continue to have an election. I mean, whether we continue to be a country who every 4 years lets the voters weigh in.
So the challenge for the White House seems to be pretty clear. Keep making that argument. This is an election about big things. Keep bringing up Donald Trump's record and keep bringing up the achievements that Joe Biden has had in terms of policy decisions that have made Americans' lives better. Point to the fact that consumers are feeling more confident, that gas prices, I filled up my car this weekend, it was like $3.40 a gallon. And at the same time, talk about the age thing in a way that acknowledges that he's old, but also acknowledges that he's competent. This is not somebody, from all the reports that we have, who is incompetent when it comes to policy, from what the record suggests. Along with your constitutional amendment idea, the other thing that people who are wanting to shrink the Trump coalition seem to be saying time and again, and this is Republican pollsters who Charlie knows, along with Democratic pollsters, is where are the surrogates? I mean, it's another practical thing. Get surrogates out on television every day. The Democratic Party is filled with a rich bench of talent, and have them out, all talking from the same hymn book, talking about all of the achievements and talking about the criticisms of Donald Trump. I mean, it's something that is frustrating campaign advisors on the Democratic side, certainly. But it seems to be something that's fairly easy to fix.